everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited about today's reading because I have never done one of these readings before. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Cupid, and today's reading is all about angel number messages, okay? So if you are resonating / receiving any of the angel numbers that I presented to you, then this reading may be for you, okay? So like I said, I haven't done a reading like this before. And so I'm really curious. To see how it all plays out. I do have some objects for you to choose from, just to give you maybe some extra resonance, just for fun. I don't know. But this is just something extra to just help you pick your group. So however you want to do it, if the objects, verify anything for you, that's great. If they don't, whatever, it's fine. Okay. So group 1 is going to be 111 and this super cute Hello Kitty fire quartz, right? 111 is the Hello Kitty fire quartz. 333 is going to be this black tourmaline rock. And group 3, which is 777, is going to be the selenite heart. Okay, 777 is the selenite heart. So I'll say that one more time. 111 is the Hello Kitty fire quartz. 333 is the black tourmaline rock. 777 is the selenite heart. Okay. So anyway, before we get to your readings, I just want to remind everybody that this reading is for a unseen collective. So if a message does not resonate, leave it. It is likely for somebody else. Okay. So without further ado, I will catch you guys at your readings, and all timestamps for each group will be in the description box below. Hi, group 1, you have chosen angel number 111. You have resonated possibly with the Hello Kitty fire quartz. Okay. And I have your message for you. So before we get into the message, I think I should tell you about how I got this fire quartz. Okay. So basically I went to Comic-Con and I didn't really buy anything. I wasn't planning on buying anything. So that wasn't a good, that wasn't good or bad. But I wasn't planning on buying anything. And I came across a vendor who had, crystals and all that kind of jazz, right? And I went over, I looked around, and I saw this. I saw this gorgeous Hello Kitty fire quartz. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. And when I saw it, it was in this little compartment on the table. And the compartment had items listed with their prices. And it said very clearly, Hello Kitty quartz, $6, right? It said Hello Kitty quartz, $6. Okay. I picked it up and I was like, I want this. And so one of the people helping out at the table, they rung me up and and then finally the price came up. And the price was like $23 and such cents. And I was like, I looked back over at the table where the sticker literally said Hello Kitty quartz, $6. And so I was like, I thought it was $6. And he was like, oh no, it's $22. And then he showed me a little sticker taped to the bottom, right? The bottom, it was taped here, of this Hello Kitty. And mind you, it's sitting in a compartment like this. And on the label of the compartment, it says the price. Now, like I said, I wasn't planning on buying anything. In fact, I was going to generally just not buy anything. That was a rule that I set, that I wasn't going to buy anything. And even though I really wanted this Hello Kitty, it just was not in the plans, right? That was not a part of my plan. And so I was just like, all right, well, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I was kind about it. And as soon as I said that, the woman she was the vendor, that was her table, she was like, how much was it? How much did it say it was? And then the dude was like $6. And she was like, she can have it. And so then I was able to get it for just $6. Okay. So I feel like that might resonate with you, but it ties into this reading because it was really about being true to myself, being sure of my boundaries, not going back on what I wanted, right? I don't want to spend a lot of money. I was already not going to buy anything. $6, I can do $6. 22, 23, it's not going to work. And I was willing to say no, and I was willing to walk away. And just like that, I ended up getting what I wanted without forcing it, without trying to manipulate a situation, just simply being willing to have my boundaries up. Okay? I feel like you're seeing 111 because essentially you are being called to release this anxiety around possibly expectations, right? I feel like you are often concerned with how people are going to take things, right? That you do or say, saying the wrong thing, being in the wrong place, wearing the wrong thing, right? It could be any of those little, things. But it's like, you don't really need to worry about, how do I say this? Let's just get into the cards. Okay, so the first card out, we have this 3 of Cups. And interesting, it was in reverse. I didn't even notice that. This 3 of Cups is in reverse. And so I feel like 111, you may be afraid of people walking away from you or have like some type of worry around being rejected, possibly by friends, a friend group, right? Maybe just community in general. Maybe this is just about you being afraid of being alone, right? Left alone, being, like I said, just generally being rejected. The 3 of Wands in reverse, I feel like Spirit is telling you that you're not going to be rejected. And I feel like, what do you mean you're not? I mean, we all get rejected. But what Spirit is saying is that you are not inherently unlovable or unlikable, right? You are not, one person's rejection is not permanent rejection from everyone and everything all the time, right? It's not a permanent type of condition that you have where you're rejected. And so sometimes this has to do with mainly just the choices we make. For example, with my fire quartz, I could have been so worried or concerned or desperate, right? How do I explain this? Like, let's say I picked up the fire quartz, I wanted it, and they told me it was $23, right? And in my head, I'm like, man, I didn't want to spend $23. I didn't expect that. But because I just want this quartz so bad, for whatever reason, right? Why would I want it so bad? To fill a void? Maybe I don't think I'll ever see this again. That's one of the thoughts I had. I was like, what if I don't see something like this again? What if I don't come across something like this again? Right? Whatever shallow reasoning you have, whatever superficial reasoning you have, you decide, or I decide, I'm going to just pay all this extra money that I wasn't planning on paying. I'm going to go back on my boundaries out of what? A general sense of lack, right? And so in a friendship situation, this could look like doing something you don't want to do really with a group. Just because you want to hang out with the group. Just because you don't want the group to not invite you anymore, right? This could look like, telling somebody that you don't eat this or you don't eat that, but because they keep insisting, you eat it anyway, right? And, or because this has to do with rejection, but yeah, like, or you could, let's say you really, really want a specific car, right? You really, really want this specific car, and you know what your budget is, you know what you can afford, but then you see this car and it's way more, or it requires way more of you, right, than you have at the time. But instead of doing what's sensible or doing what is already in alignment or what you already decided on, right, you put yourself in debt or even more debt because you have to have this car, right? It comes from this lack mentality, maybe, that you'll never ever get this opportunity again. And so with the Three of Cups reverse, it's like maybe there's a group or there's some type of group dynamic going on where you may be feeling some kind of FOMO, or you may be afraid of being left out. You don't want to be left out. You're unsure if you were to do this or if you were to do that, are they going to like me? Are they going to keep wanting to hang out with me? It doesn't have to specifically be a friend group, but there is this energy where you're just like, it's like you're just so worried about being rejected that you may act in ways that are not authentic, essentially, right? Underneath that, we have more flies with honey. And so this is the solution, right? This is the solution that's coming with the 111. Even if you're seeing 11, that you could be seeing 11 too, but 111 specifically, it says more flies with honey. So Spirit is saying, like, instead of being worried about losing something or not getting something, instead, you need to project an air of positivity, right? And it's essentially like being attractive, right? The idea of being attractive, right? You attract more flies with honey, right? With sweetness, with, contentness, with cooperation, right? You will, what's the word? You'll repel the flies with friction, with fear, with anxiety, right? When you want something to come towards you, you want your energy to be receptive. And so if this has to do with like a social setting, Spirit is saying, instead of trying to do, and instead of worrying about whether or not you're doing whatever you're supposed to do to please them, instead just be kind. Just be kind and be yourself. This could be a work environment, right? You're a new girl, a new guy in the office, right? And you don't want to upset your coworkers. You don't want to offend your coworkers, right? What if you say the wrong thing? What if, they invited you to lunch today, but you didn't want to go, right? It's your second day. You're kind of overwhelmed. You just want to take your lunch by yourself. You're worried that they're going to take that the wrong way. Guess what? It don't matter, right? It don't matter. Be confident and secure in your choice. If you want to have lunch on your own, just keep it cute, keep it sweet. Sorry guys, not today. I really need to just relax. It's honest. It's honest, it's sweet, it's kind, right? It's not like you're saying, no, I don't want to go anywhere, leave me alone, right? Instead, you're just like, oh, thanks for asking, but not today, right? You can do it tomorrow if you want. And guess what? If they do take it some kind of way, if they do make it a big deal, then leave them alone. Who are they? You don't want them around you anyway. It's like kind of the Empress energy. Empress is also like a 3 card, right? She has that 111 at the top of her card. She attracts her abundance, right? She's not being extra assertive or forceful. She's not trying to force dynamics. She's not trying to, you know, she's not trying to be anything other than her authentic self. She is inherently fruitful, right? And so have this mindset that the right friends or the right comrades, colleagues, they're going to come around you, right? The ones that want to be weird, they'll be weird, right? The ones that want to take everything personal, they're going to take everything personal. Ignore them. But the people who are respectful, right? The people who value kindness, they're going to be attracted to you. And so you don't really have to worry about being left out. Or I wish I knew exactly what was going on. But I want to talk about this Jack, right? This Jack, he's a Knight of Wands. So this has to do with freedom, right? There's a sense of needing to be free, right? I'm hearing confident, attractive, right? Attractive keeps coming through. And so you may be somebody who is more attractive than you think you are, right? You are more, you could be beautiful, you could be gorgeous, you could be pretty, you could be handsome, right? You could be sexy, buff, whatever your archetype of attractive is. I feel like you're not really perceiving yourself exactly how other people do. You could just be charming, right? You could just have a gift for gab. You're charming, right? Maybe you're just stylish, right? With this wands, it's definitely something, you know, related to your passions, right? You could style yourself very nicely. You could do your makeup very well. If you, like I said, if you're buff, maybe you go to the gym, you're active, right? It's something about how you express yourself to others that is way more attractive than you think it is. And so this worry that you may have about not being perceived as kind, or you feel like you're going to be perceived as, you know, unlikable in some way, it's really unlikely to happen unless you're a bitch. Ooh, Mojo, sit down. Bed. I feel like that was like a confirmation, right? If you are mean, right? If you're going to be aggressive, if you're going to, then yeah, people are going to feel some type of way about you most of the time, right? But I don't see you as that kind of person. I see you as somebody who like is honestly probably interesting, right? With the Jack, the Knight of Wands, some people find you just interesting, right? Like I said, there's a sense of charisma, but mainly like physically, not like you could have a gift for gab, but I'm getting like your movements, your body movements, right? So like I said, spirit with that 111, more flies with honey. Just be your sweet, kind, fun self, right? Be your positive self. Be your authentic self. And everything is good, right? As long as your intentions are good and you're treating people well, you don't need to worry about that, right? And like I said, people who like I said, will take little things seriously and personally, and then all of a sudden they beefing with you on the low. Those are people you don't want to be around anyway, right? I feel like this goes back to just being sure of yourself, sure of your decisions. If you know for a fact that you didn't do anything to anybody, then ignore them, right? If you know in your heart of hearts of hearts that you didn't steal this, or you didn't mock them, you didn't say nothing with an attitude, you didn't give them a weird look, you never, if you know you didn't do anything, then stand on that. Just like if I know that I'm not willing to spend that much money, over $10 for this, stand on it, right? And guess what? Everything will work out for you in the end anyway, because you were true to you, right? You kept following your plan, right? It's all about that plan. Like I said, spending $20-something was not a part of my plan. Before I even stepped into the convention center, I had a plan, I had a focus, I had already made a decision. And so when I'm presented with something that isn't in alignment with my decisions, I accept it, right? If all of the ladies in the office want to get drinks after work and I don't want to go because I'm tired, is it going to hurt anybody for me to say no politely, to just decline? No. And I know that. I'm sure of that. I'm certain of that. And so if somebody comes around, they hurt because, or they weird because I didn't want to go get drinks that one time, that's not going to bother me. Because I know for a fact I didn't do anything, right? And so just being confident, trusting, trust yourself, trust your choices. You know what I mean? This Joker card kind of confused me a bit, but it's like, what was I thinking? Switch up. No. I wasn't thinking switch up. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. But it had something to do with how he's looking in both directions, or it's flip-flopped. It's like, don't be too seriously, or don't take yourself too seriously, right? Don't take it so seriously. I feel like you worry, right? You worry about how people are going to take things. And maybe people have taken things wrong with you in the past, and you just, maybe I feel like you are a kind person, right? You're coming off like you are kind, and that's why it does concern you, because you've had this kind of happen where people take things a certain way and then don't say anything, probably because most people are passive and cowardice, right? Anyway, but the 111 is like, don't take it so seriously. Relax. What's yours is yours. You're going to be good. Okay. Lastly, we have Archangel Raphael. Okay. Archangel Raphael. So it says, feel my cloak of velvet green wrap you in healing rays of light. Feel the warmth of your soul radiate from your center, and know you are whole and complete. Embrace the reality of your wholeness and the expansiveness of all. I love that. If you want to hear it again, you can rewind it. I love that, right? Know that you are whole and complete, right? Embrace the reality of your wholeness. Sometimes when we're worried like that, it is because in some ways we feel we're not enough, right? We're not doing enough. We're not saying enough. We're falling short. We feel like, right? We're like, I could have done something differently or better, and it weighs on us because we unfortunately subconsciously equate it to our worth, right? To fail, right? Or to not be perfect, it reflects on our worth, and it's a toxic way to think. And I'm no stranger to that. I have anxiety, and those types of thoughts do creep in my head, but you have to check yourself, right? Be like, ooh, that's a projection. Ooh, that's my anxiety. Ooh, and just push it to the side, keep it pushing, right? Reminding yourself. And the thing is, there's that quote that's like, they aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. I've learned in reality that sometimes they are, but guess what? It doesn't change the fact that it just don't matter, right? And just keeping that in mind, that somebody else's opinion of me doesn't matter in the long run, right? Even if they work with me, even if they got a problem with me because I'm just being myself, I have to kind of check into reality and remember that me being myself ain't got to do with them. So for them to be all pressed and whatever, let me just get out their way, right? Like, let me not disturb myself with their issues. Because you know that is really no big deal. Okay? Knowing that it's not a reflection of your worth because somebody didn't like your tone. It's not a reflection of your worth because you missed that social cue, or because you didn't go out with everybody and socialize, right? Like some people, especially with workplace, certain places, it's like if you don't socialize, especially right away, people start acting weird with you. You know what I mean? But Anyway, I feel like that's your angel message, to just relax, drop them shoulders, and don't take people's perceptions of you so seriously. And you don't have to be perfect, right? You don't have to be perfect. You can still get all the good things you want and attract all the good things you want, like I said, by just being your positive, kind self. Kindness is one of the best seeds to plant. And the only people offended by kindness are weirdos. So that's all I have for you today, Group 1. If you enjoyed this reading, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you would like to be notified whenever I post new videos, then make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Bye, Group 1. Hello, Group 2. Welcome to your reading. You have been seeing angel number 333, and or you resonate with this black tourmaline, okay? So, I just want to tell you something. Before we get into your reading, when I was starting the reading and I picked up the black tourmaline, in my head I heard coal, right? I heard coal, and it made me think about how on Christmas, if you're a bad kid, if you're a naughty kid, you get coal, right? You get coal, okay? So this, I'm honestly getting this both ways, right? I want to say, first of all, I feel like you're going to resonate with this maybe either 3 different ways, okay? The first way is like, has to do with just general expectations. Oh, I can't. I have to just tell you in order, okay? But you're going to see this either 3 ways, okay? But when I thought about the coal and the stocking, I thought about how much of a disappointment it is to get this coal in your stocking. And I thought about, what if I don't have any kids, but what if I had a kid and I put this black tourmaline in their stocking? Like, I was just thinking of it, I don't know, I just thought of it as the coal in the stocking. But then I'm like, what if my kid, knows it's black tourmaline? Or I thought about, what if my kid is crying and I tell them, don't worry, baby, it's actually black tourmaline, it's not coal, and black tourmaline is protection, right? It offers protection. And so there's an element here of expecting something to happen to you that you consider to be negative, but it turns out you are protected. It turns out you're protected some way. For some of you, this will have to do with whether or not you're pregnant, but let's get into it. So the first card here is the 9 of Swords, okay? And here I feel like you're, with this bird imagery, your head is down, right? You are in some type of despair or anxiety, you're upset, you're hiding, right? You feel like you need to hide, right? There's this an energy of dread, right? The 9 of Swords has to do with these fears that are rooted in reality, right? And so you feel like you are facing something serious and unpleasant, right? And you don't want to, right? With your head in the ground or on the ground, you are not wanting to face what you feel is ahead of you, right? You feel like it is, it's like a doom and gloom kind of energy, right? This is something that you would consider to be terrible. Now, what I think is interesting underneath here, and we have 5 of coins. Okay, we have this Queen of coins and a 5 of coins. And what I love here is that she has this like shell on her belly, and it makes me think, and it almost looks like that is a baby in her belly. So you could feel like you're pregnant, right? You could think you're pregnant, all right? But I'm seeing with the Queen of Coins, this would be, the reason why this is showing up as like a bad thing is because perhaps you feel like your money's not right, or you're not where you want to be financially, right? There's something in regards to your material life, your stability, that you feel is not quite in alignment with being a mother, right? Taking care of a child, right? Financially supporting this child. And then right underneath that, we have 5 of coins. And look at this. It's like, it's the same kind of shell, right? And so you may feel like you are not in a place to financially support, but also this could be you and your partner. You could feel like you don't have, this person that you're pregnant by is not in a place. They don't have anything. There's something here just about lack. Either you feel like you don't have enough on your own to support this child, or it's also related to whoever you're pregnant by, and you not feeling like they are really the right fit. They don't have they're not equipped, basically. With this 5 of Swords, I feel like, to me, you could feel defeated, right? You could feel defeated. There could be a disagreement about what to do, right? That's also creating some anxiety, unsure of what to do. Maybe you haven't told anybody yet, right? And you're not sure if you want to tell anybody. If anything, you probably have not even taken, for many of you, you have not taken a pregnancy test, okay? I just got another message, but I'm going to wait to say it. But yeah, for some of you, you have not taken a pregnancy test yet. You could just be suspecting that you're pregnant, right? And I say that because illusions matter, right? There's something in your head. You're in your head, right? Either you don't really know if you're pregnant quite yet, but you are thinking about all your symptoms. You're thinking about whatever you're experiencing. You could be missing your period, right? For others of you, you may know that you're pregnant, but you're really, really in your head about just communicating this, right? Communicating this to the other parent. Maybe you're afraid that they'll want to keep the child and you won't want to keep the child, or vice versa. You'll want to keep the child and they won't, right? It could be that you want the child, but you're very much aware of your financial situation, and you just, maybe you know that they're going to think it's a bad idea, right? It can be flipped either way, right? But with illusions matter, it's like, this is what has you in this headspace, right? Creating this anxiety, you thinking, what if, right? If you're waiting to take the pregnancy test, this is wise. Almost like you don't want to know yet, right? You don't want to know yet. You want to still live in some type of level of oblivion for now, right? Until you have to face this truth. It's interesting. There's a level of protection here, okay? I want to talk about this card, right? Mary Reed. She's a pirate, and this card is the 10 of Pentacles, okay? And so I just want to say, already with the 10 of Pentacles, you're seeing this you're seeing these threes because you are worried / afraid about how something will turn out, right? Getting caught up in something, right? You're afraid of it. You're scared. You're worried. But with the 10 of Pentacles, it's almost like these threes are letting you know that you're going to be fine. Either you're going to have enough money to deal with this, however you are deciding to deal with it, or you are going to have the support needed to continue forward with this, okay? I feel like with the money situation, it could go either way too. I feel like this is probably just like the pregnancy group. Oh my God. This is the pregnancy group, because some of you want this child and some of you don't. Some of you want to get rid of it. Some of you don't, right? With the 10 of Pentacles, like I said, you could feel like you don't have enough money to deal with it, aka an asmortion, right? You're Queen of Pentacles / 5 of Pentacles, because how are you going to get this asmortion? And and you need it because you definitely can't afford the baby. But for others of you, the money is, you want the baby, but you don't feel like you have the money and the support. You don't feel like you guys are financially ready for whatever reason, right? You don't feel like your baby daddy is financially ready, or you know, it could go either way, right? Let's see. For some of you, you're worried your baby's father could be more well off, and so you could be worried that they'll want to keep the baby regardless. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of narratives coming through. But like I said, with this Ten of Pentacles, it's almost like you're going to get whatever support you need in order to handle whatever this is. You're going to be fine, right? Okay, but let's read the card, okay? So the card says, Mary Read. When her ship was captured by John Rackham and Anne Bonny, she joined their pirate crew. Read escaped the gallows because she was expecting a baby. Okay, I'm going to read that again. When her ship was captured by John Rackham and Anne Bonny, she joined their pirate crew. Reed escaped the gallows because she was expecting a baby. So already there's this energy of expecting a baby, right? So some of you are indeed pregnant, okay? I feel like most of you are. I feel like there is a percentage of you that are not pregnant at all, right? You just think you are, right? You haven't taken a pregnancy test. There's another group of you that certainly is pregnant, whether you took the pregnancy test or not, okay? And so that is there. But then I also want to focus on when her ship was captured, right? And then escaped, right? So captured, some of you may feel like this pregnancy is going to slow you down, hold you up, tie you down, settle you, whatever, right? It's going to be like a life sentence of some sort. You're going to be captured. But with this escape, you are going to escape whatever this struggle or this imprisonment is that you think is going to be upon you. For those of you that do want this baby, it's primarily the financial situation that's the issue. With this being captured and then escaped, I feel like you don't want to be weighed down by either the weight of the responsibility, whether that is physical or financial responsibility, right? She joined their pirate crew. I feel like you are going to, like I said, there's some type of support here. So maybe family, right? Your parents, other family members, friends. I feel like you are going to have a community behind you that is going to help you escape this feeling of like not having enough, or escape this sentence of poverty, right? I don't even know how to explain this, right? You're worried about not being able to provide for your child, right? And that can make people feel stuck and stagnant and depressed, right? And so you don't want to be caught in this financial, grip, of lack, right? And I feel like having this community, joining this crew is really going to help you. I don't know what this crew is. It could be a job, somebody helping off, helping you get a job that can help you support this endeavor, right? Your new family. It can have to do with housing, right? Helping you get housing. There's something here where you're going to get the support, right? But definitely expecting a baby. And then last card we have here is Grace. And when I was doing the rest of these cards, I noticed, and I didn't even notice before. You see how this circle, it definitely gives me like womb. But then looking at these, this makes me think of like, what are they called? IUDs. But also now it's also making me think of like ovaries, like the two ovaries apart. But either way, it makes me think of like your uterus and birth control. It makes me think of like an IUD. There's some type of birth control. So with this Grace, right? For those of you who don't want this child, if you haven't, okay, there are some of you who do have a form of birth control in right now. And that could be a big part of why these symptoms that you are having is giving you this anxiety, right? Because you're worried that you're pregnant despite having the contraception. All right. With this grace here, I feel like you're not pregnant. It could just be your body having like some PMS type symptoms. Okay. And PMS symptoms can feel like pregnancy. And if you just got your birth control, then those symptoms can be heightened more than usual. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but that's just something to think about, right? Those of you that have some type of birth control in, you haven't taken a pregnancy test, or you took one and maybe it said that you're not pregnant. I don't know what you did or didn't do, but either way, for those of you who have some birth control in, for others of you, maybe you feel like I said, it also made me think of just like ovaries, right? The shape or the separation of the two ovaries. Some of you may have had like some fertility issues in the past, right? Some of you who do want children or want this child, you could have had some fertility issues, or you were worried about fertility or something. And I feel like this grace is you getting the baby that you want, getting the child that you want to have. You know what I'm saying? Finally getting pregnant. I'm hearing like, what is it called? Not artificial insemination. What is it called? IVF. Yeah, like I'm getting like IVF, right? Let's see, what else? The grace could also be just people who love you, who want you to be able to have this baby. They want to make it easier on you, right? And so this grace, I'm just getting, there's a lot of energy around things working out in your and the child's favor. Even if you want an abortion, in my opinion, it's in the child's favor. I mean, if a parent doesn't want you or isn't ready for you, it's best not to be in that situation if you can help it, right? And some of us can't. Like I said, you know, maybe you can't afford the abortion, right? Maybe you could never really afford birth control, right? And so you kind of, in some ways, have to have that child. And then that child ends up with you, dealing with your issues with you, right? No shame to nobody. Or you give them up for adoption or to the system, and they don't have the best life. You know what I mean? And so, you know, either way, I feel like with this grace, you're going to be given some help to get you through this, right? And like I said, with this black tourmaline, it's going to feel, you feel like you received this lump of coal. You feel like you've, you know, gotten like a short end of the stick, right? You feel like you are getting some type of unpleasant situation, but it's turning out to be a protected situation, right? It turns out you are protected, whether your birth control worked properly, whether or not you're going to be able to resolve this situation so that you can go on with your life, whether you're able to receive the support and resources you need to make this happen for you, right? You're going to be given grace. You're not going to suffer. You're not going to have to go through this terrible situation, right? You're going to be okay, right? You're going to get help, okay? So anyway, that's all I have for you today, Group 2. If you enjoyed this reading, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you would like to be notified whenever I post new videos, then make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Bye, Group 2. Bye, Group 3. You have chosen 777, and or you resonated with the selenite heart. Okay, Group 3. So from your group, I'm definitely getting a 7 of Swords / 7 of Wands energy. With the Hangman, I heard make no sudden moves. No sudden moves, right? Being in a tricky situation, okay? I feel like with the Hangman, you could be in a situation where the next move is unclear, right? The strategy is not quite there, because that was another word I heard, strategy. But it's almost like needing one, right? There's a need for one here with the Hangman. You could feel kind of stuck or tied to something, right? Stuck or tied to something that you're not quite sure how to maneuver, okay? There is a need to defend yourself, right? And there is a need to watch your surroundings, right? Paying attention to your surroundings. So you're receiving the 7-7 because you are being called to be discerning, right? Like I said, of your surroundings, and be mindful of intentions. For some of you, I do think there may be somebody around you or something around you, something that can happen. Something around you can happen or pop off. You could learn about a person, or just something could happen. I don't know. Let's get into the Death card here really quick. You know, there's a shift, right? You're being warned of a shift. There has been a change. Something fundamental has altered, meaning you cannot go back. There's no going back, okay, with whatever this is. And it's something that you need to be privy to. I feel like this change, this difference is important, right? It's not really telling me too much of why. I feel like this is a large group, okay? And I feel like this is like large world problems. What does that mean? Like, for example, group 1, the issue was very much internal, right? The issue was internal, right, with themselves. Group 2, it had to do with their life, you know, not necessarily in their head, just dealing with their circumstances around them in their everyday life. Group 3, I feel like this is a type of scenario that has to do with like the world at large, the world around you, how you interact with strangers on the street, right? At work, right? This could even have to do with your neighbors, something a lot less personal, but having to do with the world around you and your day-to-day life, okay? Being defensive of how people act, right? How people act with you. And like I said, I'm going to say it again, being discerning of people's intentions, okay? With the Death card, I feel like either a specific person around you has changed, or multiple people have changed. Circumstances have changed. Like I said, there has been a shift that the sevens that you're seeing are trying to alert you to, right? And usually when I see sevens out in the wild, I know that it is a call to protect myself. I feel defensive, right? I either feel defensive or defended, right? Defensive or defended. Like sometimes I feel like Spirit is kind of like, if this is a situation you're already aware of, then Spirit is kind of reassuring you that defenses are up, right? You are being guarded, or you are being defended, right? You have, you know, your soldiers, your army is ready, okay? But sometimes, like I said, it can just be a means of alerting you that there is kind of like danger afoot. There's something around or someone around that you need to kind of pay attention to or be privy to, okay? The next card we have a coward is desperate. A coward is desperate. So I'm going back to make no sudden moves, right? And so Spirit is kind of, these sevens, like I said, discernment. You're being called to, how would I say this? Be more measured or reserved with your actions, your movements, your choices in this area, right? Don't be too hasty. Don't move from a place of fear or desperation, right? Because not only can this reveal your hand, but this can also make you vulnerable, right? Like with the Hanged Man, somebody setting traps for you. Somebody has either already set a trap for you, or somebody can be trying to set a trap for you, set you up, right? I feel like you are in some type of group or some type of dynamic. You have some type of obligation, possibly to a job, where somebody's kind of trying to set you up to have like the shorter end of the stick, maybe even get you in trouble or get you out the way, right? Is what I'm getting, right? A coward is desperate. This is somebody who is actually afraid of you or afraid of what you're coming with, right? So this could maybe be a coworker who is intimidated by your work ethic, right? They know you have a presentation coming up, and so they start doing weird shit to get you sick, right? You know what I mean? Like coughing around your desk, or, you know, who knows? That's kind of extreme, you know. Or they could say something to your manager to make your manager think that you're not ready, or you know, it's not good, or to give them a chance instead. It's kind of like somebody lurking, waiting in order to sabotage you, because they're intimidated. They have like this sense of lack, right? Where they feel like they have to get you out the way in order to succeed, right? First of all, they feel like they have to get you out the way in order to succeed, right? This is somebody who's a coward, right? This is somebody who they shiver, they shake in the face of adversity, right? Any little challenge can have them up in arms, right? They are so threatened by you. Meanwhile, you just get to work on time, clock in, and do your job, right? Like, you're not doing anything super extra spectacular, like not in the long run, but because this person is so insecure, right? And because this person is high key so self-absorbed, whoever this person is, like, I'm getting specific. So to me, that's a confirmation that for some of you, this is like, that is your story. There's like a friend or a coworker, some person in close proximity who just for whatever reason can't just do what they're supposed to do. They are intimidated by the fact that you are just also doing what you're supposed to do. I don't know. But Spirit is kind of letting you know that whatever this sabotage or backstabbing or whatever this Seven of Swords energy is, that person is a coward, right? And so it's almost like, don't just be aware, but also distinguish your energy from theirs. If they're in a desperate, cowardly energy, you need to be in a calm, secure energy. You're not afraid. You're not going to make hasty moves. You're not going to do something that could get you caught up in their traps, right? You're going to move with a sense of, I don't want to say calm again, but it's like when you're calm, right? You're able to see your environment differently, right? You're able to take in details that you wouldn't if your mind and spirit were in haste, right? You are able to perceive the situation from a broader lens or from a higher vantage, because your energy is not all caught up and mixed up, right? You have it under control. And so that's pretty much what a coward's desperate card is trying to tell you. Like, be aware, but do not be afraid. Okay? Be aware, but do not be afraid. Let's get into this card here. So this is a Queen of Swords, all right? And so already, right, Queen of Swords has that her defenses are up. She's strategic, right? And I heard arm's length, right? One way that the Queen of Swords protects herself is that she keeps enemies or adversaries at an arm's length, right? And so you could be being called to separate yourself from someone or something, right? If you already know what is in your environment that is, you know, coming with this Seven of Swords energy, your Seven of Wands energy needs to be separation. Push yourself away from that situation, right? Distance is, you know, some of the greatest defenses, right? And that's why also people use did use bodies of water as a defense, because it forces distance. You know what I mean? It's like manufactured distance, because if you can't cross the water, you can't get close. Okay. And so let's look at this. It says Walter Kennedy. He was part of the crew of pirate Bartholomew Roberts when they captured a Portuguese ship carrying rich booty. He was hanged in 1721. Let's read that again. He was part of the crew of pirate Bartholomew Roberts when they captured a Portuguese ship carrying rich booty. He was hanged in 1721. Now, I know that him being hanged I won't say has nothing to do with Bartholomew Roberts, but I will say the way it's written here is almost in progression, right? And so I'm looking at this very intentionally. So it says that he was part of the crew of Bartholomew Roberts, right? And so I'm getting like a manager, right? This person, it could be the person's crew that you're a part of, right? It could be your employer. It could be a supervisor, right? This is somebody that you have to work with and possibly work for. He was part of the crew of pirate Bartholomew Roberts when they captured a Portuguese ship carrying rich booty, right? A setup, right? Somebody having you do the dirty work. Somebody giving you an assignment that can get you in trouble. Giving you a duty or a job that can make you look suspicious or get you caught up, right? Like with the hangman. And then literally he was hanged, right? At the end of his life. And so I feel like that's what I'm talking about. I feel like it's just confirming what I'm saying, right? Somebody in close proximity trying to set you up to do something that could possibly incriminate you, okay, for some of you. Somebody could try to accuse you of something, blackmail you about something. Somebody could just, lie. Or like I said, somebody could present something as not bad or not a big deal, not going to get you in trouble. And then somehow you get in trouble. Beware of going places with people, okay? Going places with people. Because this looks like like a map, right? This looks like a map headed somewhere, a destination. We have authority right underneath here, and it's in the reverse, okay? So somebody wants to play authority over you, or they use their authority. They're going to try and use their authority over you to get you caught up in something, right? Your employer, you could be employed by somebody who is not trustworthy, right? You could be employed by somebody who is not really going to look out for your best interest. They're actually going to set you up to either go to jail, have to pay a fine, I don't know, be accused of something. It doesn't have to be something super duper legal, but I would just be wary, because I'm getting a lot of energy around somebody close to you, specifically in like a work environment. This could not be work. Maybe this is a group of friends, right? This could be you're in a friend group and this is quote unquote the leader of the group, or some bully in the group wanting to set you up or use you for something. I would just be wary. Okay. I'm going to go over the Archangel Elamaya card. Actually, before I do that, I do want to talk about the selenite heart. And so with the selenite heart, something told me to look up the meaning of a white heart, okay? And what I thought was so interesting was that it says contextual uses. After sharing bad news, to show solidarity and empathy, okay? Solidarity and empathy. Okay. So, I feel like this is going to be somebody, like solidarity, right? Makes me think of a group, a cause, right? Somebody who you are in solidarity with. You may have supported them through some things, or you have worked together. Maybe this is somebody you work with in like an organization. Maybe you do volunteer type work with this person, right? But I feel like this is somebody who, first of all, I feel like they're going to want to either give you some bad news, or they're trying to set you up to receive some bad news, first of all. And I feel like this is going to be underhanded. I'm not going to lie. This feels like this is underhanded, right? After sharing bad news to show solidarity and empathy. Okay? That's wild to me. I feel like this is somebody who's going to try and seem like they're not involved, right? This is definitely a stab in the back, right? They're a coward. They can't face you. Be wary. Group 3777. You need to have your defenses up. You need to have distance between you and this person, because they are going to do some underhanded shit. They're going to try to do some underhanded shit and then act like they didn't have nothing to do with it. Let's read Archangel Elamaya. It says inward spiritual journey. In every moment, you are on your inward spiritual journey. Every moment, every experience is an opportunity for expansion, whether you want it or not. The trick is to know you are the divine power. In every moment, you are on your inward spiritual journey. Every moment, every experience is an opportunity for expansion, whether you want it or not. The trick is to know you are the divine power. Interesting. Okay. So, this might sound corny, but this is for your growth, right? I'm not going to say the situation is happening for your growth, but this is an opportunity for growth, right? This is an opportunity to sharpen your defenses. Just be a better warrior, right? In this spiritual battle, right? Having discernment, whether you want it or not, right? Whether you want it or not, sometimes we are called to be discerning, put up defenses, it's often because we're in a situation that if we had chosen, we probably wouldn't be in it, right? When we're dealing with jealous people, when we're dealing with bad friends, when we're dealing with people who lie or steal or cheat, we often don't want to deal with those types of people. We don't want to have to break up with somebody or cut somebody off or tell somebody to leave us alone or see somebody, for who they are, right? We don't often want that. But in those moments, that is an opportunity for you to grow. Because if you can conquer this demon or this devil, then you can elevate to the next level, right? For example, if this is a workplace situation, you know how they say like new devils, new levels, right? So let's say this is a workplace situation and you come into a new job and Sarah Ann got a problem with you because you keep forgetting to put paper in the printer and blah, blah, blah. And she just now she got beef with you. It's not really a big deal. And she actually never even confronted you about it, but now she has beef with you. That's a devil. That's a demon, right? Not saying Sarah Ann is, but that conflict is. That conflict is a distraction. That conflict is a way to derail you. And Sarah Ann, she's giving into it. She don't know that she's been caught up by the demon, the devil, right? Or however you want to call it. I mean the devil in terms of the cards, not really like God, the devil, but whatever. So I'm not saying she is that demon or that devil, but that conflict, right? And you don't want to, because the alternative is you are like her, where your emotions are getting caught up and now you're taking all of this seriously and now you're beefing with Sarah Ann and now y'all don't like each other and y'all got office drama all the time now, right? That's the alternative, getting caught up in your emotions. But when you have discernment, you don't. When you have discernment, you see exactly what's being played out. When you have discernment, you are watching the game board, from a higher vantage point. You have a higher perspective. right? You're several steps ahead. You're not just responding to that first move. You're not responding to the move that just happened. You're responding to the moves before that and the moves that could possibly happen after it. You're ahead. Okay? The trick is to know that you are the divine power, right? And I think that is something, maybe that's tricky, right? What does that mean, to know you are the divine power? To me, it means knowing that you don't have to be affected, right? Knowing that you can step in and out of any energy you want to, right? You're not at the mercy of your emotions. Your emotions are at the mercy of you. You're the game maker, right? When we play The Sims, we don't, we can make our Sims happy. We can make our Sims sad, right? It's like looking at it like that. Like, I'm not being affected. I am affecting. I am affecting my world, my life, who I am. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's all I have for you today, Group 3. 777. I really hope this reading resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. If it did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you would like to be notified whenever I post new videos, then make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Bye, Group 3.